It's CoinDesk's Future of Work Week. So this week we're taking a look at the jobs market, offering advice on landing a role, and exploring how crypto itself could fundamentally change how we work. Check out features, profiles, and op-eds throughout the week on coindesk.com/future of work week. Okay, now let's get into the story. So this story is called We're Freaking DAOing It. The people who think DAOs are the future of work. So the article starts off by focusing on Will Ogorsley, sorry, Will, if I mispronounced your last name, who works at Shapeshift and Giveth, and he's just ecstatic about life working at DAOs. Now, disclosure, I work for a lab that is a core contributor of the BitDAO ecosystem, and the article also mentions Pleaser DAO, which BitDAO just made a strategic investment in. There we go. Big mouthfuls. Zach, what do you think? Are DAOs the future of work? Should we all be fist pumping towards the future where we're all working for DAOs?
I have a question. Does that mean that you work for a DAO, or does that mean that you work for a company that contributes to a DAO?
Well, I knew this question was coming. I work for a company that contributes to a DAO because technically you can't work for a DAO. And so there are all of these things happening in the DAO ecosystem to allow people to build out DAOs. And so as the company, we submit proposals to do different things for the DAO, and those proposals get voted on by the community, and then we either execute on that proposal or don't execute on that proposal.
Wait, so why can you not technically work for a DAO? Is you saying that there's no corresponding legal structure or framework for employment through DAOs to exist legally? Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying, Zach.
Interesting. Well, that seems like that's going to have to be worked out if it's going to really be the future of work, right? Like if we're just dealing with all this chicanery around what is what in the DAO space, I think that's going to be a problem. But it is cool, the prospect of being able to work for these online communities and, leave and go as you see fit, depending on how engaging or rewarding that work is for you. I think that's a great model for future employment. And I think it's something that, sure, a lot of people in the crypto space are entertaining as something that's viable. And I think this piece by Jeff Wilson really does sort of humanize and capture what that world looks like. So it's cool to see it gaining a little bit of steam, but for now it feels niche. And I think there is still a lot of like tooling that needs to be made, both on the legal side and like the operational side, to make it work at scale. But I don't know. Jen, you're the expert here. So like, I'm curious for additional thoughts from you, to be honest.
I mean, I'm not really the expert here, but I don't think anyone's the expert in DAOs. I was at a DAO conference just after NFT NYC, and the legalities and keeping communities engaged were two of the like really hot topics at the conference. And what I took away was everyone's still figuring it out. And I know we say this all the time, but like we're still so early. And so the promise of DAOs, I think, is excellent, and it could really change the future of work. But DAOs, how they exist today, I think it's just an innovative way to manage a treasury where it's transparent and verifiable, but the communities that build around them are still grouped in these like legal entities. Like, for example, where I work at a lab that is a legal entity. It is a company. It pays taxes. It does all of the things that legal entities do. And until we can figure that out, to your point, Zach, I think it's an innovative way to manage a treasury where people can come together on kind of a flat surface and make decisions together. And I think that's step one. Wendy, what do you think?
I have all these things going through my head right now. So first I'm thinking about like somebody actually being employed by a DAO or utilizing, like, for example, what happens if you turned a DMV into a DAO and the general public can vote on different procedures for the DMV? Or like if like somebody provided really bad customer service, you could vote to like have them not work at that DMV anymore. So I'm just kind of thinking about those aspects, but then I'm always thinking about the big guy that's able to get a lot of the coins for the DAO and that uses multiple wallets and that type of stuff. Go ahead, Jen. I want to hear your thoughts. I know it was a random tangent.
I have a question for. It has to do with sports. I know on the show we've spoken before about sports teams who are run by almost DAOs, like communities. Could we take what's happening there and apply it to the digital world?
Talking about the Green Bay Packers, because they are ostensibly community owned, which is cool. But I think like the question is, what is the what is the most complex task that a DAO can accomplish? And I think like voting to spend money is a pretty simple yet powerful prospect for what a DAO can do. A DAO running a DMV sounds like absolute hell. The DMV is hellish enough as is, but imagine DAO governance in a DMV. You got to be kidding me! I'm never going to that DMV. That'd be miserable.
It sounds
That'd
like
be so
pandemonium.
terrible. The level of complexity and nuance and specialized knowledge that would have to exist within that DAO, that would be insane. I would steer clear. I would never enter the line to get my picture taken for my DAO ID. Never.
The thing is, though, is that it's like, I feel like, and I know it's not like directly a government entity, but it's like you have to have a driver's license to drive a car. So it's kind of like a public service to people. And I feel like, at least in LA County, like all of the public stuff is so heavily manipulated by the city councils and by the government officials and all of those different entities. So to have a DAO that was like open to the community where they can actually vote on things that make sense with them, because let's face it, a lot of people are not going to the polls. A lot of people are not participating in local community stuff. And I feel like if it was done as a DAO, it might be more enticing for them as a way, kind of.
I think, Wendy, those same problems exist in DAOs though, right? Like people get really excited about something. We saw that with Constitution DAO, super excited to buy the Constitution. And then when they didn't win the auction for that Constitution, the DAO just kind of fizzled out. So I think that like voter apathy still exists. Like as a people, we get excited about something and we want to vote, but it's keeping that engagement. And I think we still need to figure that out.
That was a really good point. There's a lot of it's human organizational dynamics, right? It's how do you organize human communities with online native tools that are transparent and a bit more effective at getting decisions at consensus across the finish line, right? And I think that's the really cool thing about DAOs. And I think that's why everyone genuinely got excited about the prospect of DAOs when Constitution DAO came out, whenever that was, with this big, splashy, audacious thing that kind of made everyone be like, okay, how could we apply this to, you know, my neighborhood nonprofit that takes care of the playground down the street, or, you know, a group that is raising money for the school that I send my kids to. Maybe there are more effective ways to organize online, and maybe DAOs represent that. I think, again, for me, the question is, how complex can you go? Like what is the complexity threshold? What is the sort of simple enough sweet spot? And what may not just, probably shouldn't be a DAO in the first place. And I think like, you know, the subsequent conversations that we've seen following the excitement of Constitution DAO have sort of tried to figure out that, but, you know, with mixed results. We're still so early. Jen, thank you for saying that. TM.
You're welcome.
We're still so early.
I have to, the DAO conferences, I have to tell you, feel like I was not at Bitcoin conferences in like 2010, but that's what I feel like it feels like. It's like a few people in this like dark, dingy room discussing like the future of what this thing could be. So I don't know, it's kind of cool.
Don't let the Maxis hear you say that.
Yeah, I'm going to get canceled.
Mute this part. It's okay. It's all right.